Hey, what's up, everybody? Matt from Rocky's War Room on this wonderful Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to myself and to all of you out there who are fathers. I think some of you guys in here are fathers. Happy Father's Day to you guys.
Thank you.
Today, we are talking Antares The Freeborn. Beyond the Gates of Antares The Freeborn. I should say that. Bear homage to the actual full name. We've been waiting to talk about this, haven't we, guys? This is going to be exciting. The Freeborn are a faction in Beyond the Gates of Antares miniature game that is one of my faves, along with most of the other armies, but are like the Pirates of Antares, as I like to call them. But I'll let you guys describe that in a little bit more detail. But tonight we have with us Tim Bancroft, of course.
Hello.
Tabletop Warlords. Sorry, Kevin.
What's up?
We have red hair. No, I'm sorry. Tabletop Warlord Sergey.
Hey guys.
And Najee's with us today.
Morning, folks. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there.
Excellent. So we're going to start this off with Tim. Tim, I want you to do me a favor and tell me about the Freeborn, its incarnation, or just the idea of them, and just give it away, sir.
Well, effectively, they're the pan-human traders of Antares. I'm reading here from some blurb I wrote for the version 2 set of rules, which haven't come up, but it summarizes it really nicely. Basically, they live aboard their trading ships, and they form very strong alliances between families, Domas, into a bigger place, a house, a freeborn house, a Vardos, led by someone called a Vard. Rick borrowed the terminology, I think, from the Romanes in Europe. And it probably fits them quite well, I think, because there's this very tight family bond, and they often split off in their own ships and they go all over the place. And then occasionally they may come back to the home fleet, if you like, or where their main fleet or main home ship is based, if you see what I mean, from time to time. And occasionally they may actually all meet up together, though that's very, very rare. With their main use to the Imtel nations is the fact that they can actually go between the Concord and the Semitex, and actually do trading and perhaps some form of link between them, or even act as intermediaries, because otherwise the Concord and the Semitex just go head to head and are at loggerheads and constantly try and beat each other up simply because of their incompatibilities of their Imtels. Whereas, of course, the Freeborn have developed incredible Imtel repellent technology, I suppose is the best way to say it. So they wipe out all the nanosphere of the Imtel, Semitex and Concord that could cause them any problems, which means that they can go to the Semitex, trade, and then perhaps go to the Concord. But a lot of houses are more likely to trade with one or the other of those and then trade with intermediaries, yet more intermediaries, so they'll hand stuff off. By trade, it's all sorts. We're not talking about gold, which they could just mine from an asteroid, or diamonds, which they could just produce in a high pressure chamber, or that sort of stuff. It's not goods and precious gems or whatever we'd expect it, but it's more to do with the more exotic elements, or with luxuries, or with artifacts from behalf, or special, or plans, or information. Information is a key thing which they trade, as well as perhaps weapons and that sort of stuff. So if you like, a Vardosi, or Vardari as they're called, means a sort of like a mixture of broker, trader, manufacturer, salesman, merchant, and all the rest of it. And this whole rumors about them being pirates is just that. It's just rumors, It's they've never ever shot a ship up. That's the privateers, always. That's the privateers. So they're said by the critics to be corrupt, amoral, and even criminal, eager to make a profit of any kind, no matter how unethical the deal. The Freeborn totally reject that, of course, and they point out they've got extremely strong family, clan, and house loyalties. They service demands of any sorts, even including passenger transport, manufacturing, supporting the main Intel nations, and they even provide things like mercenaries and ferals to those world's governments and organizations that desperately need them, who are being oppressed. And they provide
Did you say that
brokerage
we trade
services.
recipes too?
Of course they do. And they provide brokerage services for the more sinister tools of government.
And mortgages. They hold mortgages for everybody, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Payday loans. Payday loans.
Yeah, absolutely. They do almost anything for that they can turn some form of profit to, or turn to their advantage. So a lot of their trade might even be in favors of some kind. So I think in one of the Batu stories, Batu trades in a favor for a Algorin ship captain. Oh, sorry, an Algorin. It's not an Algorin ship captain. It's an exiled Algorin ship captain. He trades in a vital engine component for a future favor of some kind. And favors and information are a big part of their trade, if you see what I mean.
Like secrets across the galaxies.
Yeah, all sorts
Spread
of
rumors. Hey Earl, did you hear?
Yeah.
Earl, nice. Well, are they from the Missouri of space?
Why not?
Yeah, they're throughout Antarian space. You'll find them more focused or more concentrated in the spill regions at the edge of Concord space, at the edge of Isaurian space. Obviously, they're throughout the Determinate, and you'll find them massively concentrated in the interfaces between the big Imtel powers.
Well, awesome. So I know they've been there since the original storyline, the first storyline. They've been around, as far as like the beginning and incarnation of the game.
Yeah.
As far as storyline goes, where did they come in? I mean, was there a specific like battle where they were introduced, or you get what I'm saying by the question?
Nobody understands what you get by the question.
Yeah, nobody does. Where does their storyline begin?
Their storyline begins. Hold on a minute. I'll just load up something. Effectively, they really began as a Seventh Age. They're a Seventh Age faction more than anything else. They began somewhere. I think it's around about 300 after the two big factions split, if you see what I mean, and started becoming quite in opposition to each other, is the best way to put it. So they arose from a need between the two of those two factions to actually start trading, but also they arose from the strengthening of the resistance against those factions from the spill regions, from those regions which weren't yet taken over. So originally they could say that their parents were the Concord, round about 200 or 300, and we're about 1300 in the Seventh Age at the moment. And they grew from there.
To me, they kind of sound like the Ravagers from Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Ravagers.
They're like nicer versions of that.
Yeah.
Nicer and meaner in different regards.
Well, and what I mean by that, they're very clannish, but they will get together upon occasion to have like a massive convention, so to speak, to figure out. Yeah.
They're like wargamers.
Yeah, they have a similar social structure.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they're pirates. Right.
Yeah. There is actually a privateers list in Antares, which you could say is a sort of like a subset of the Freeborn list. But the most Freeborn houses do not engage in piracy, mainly because it would just ruin their reputation. And if nothing else, they rely on their reputation for all the rest of it. But you're quite right in that some of them are far more like the Ravagers in terms of being privateers. But even the privateers aren't really pirates, was they'll always claim they've got a letter of marque from somebody.
Oh, of course they would.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also have a question about, like, I guess freeborn trade morality. It said in their fluff in like the main rule book that they transport human cargo. Does that mean that they're transporting humans as passengers, or are they dabbling in slavery there?
they're all passengers.
That's
Whether
fair.
they paid a ticket or not, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult. The word human cargo is rather loaded. It's a bit difficult because ferals, for example, are the main example of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are really soldiers or peoples from a backwards world and their families, and that's the key thing, who are offering service in exchange for technology, marvels of some kind, normally medicine, all the rest of it. So in that respect, it's cargo. I'm not sure slavery per se is still frowned on in the Antares universe. And while some people claim the ferals are slaves, the freeborn point out they're actually getting paid something for their services.
It might be shiny rocks that they're not 100%, like understanding, but that's still payment. Or it's like they've never seen a candy bar before, and they're like, "This is a Concord candy bar. You don't understand what you're missing. We will give you 3 of these a day to fight war."
Any freeborn ship. I mean, there may be freeborn houses who do participate in slavery, and they are shunned by the rest, though, because there is this strongly moralistic view in both the Imtels about the value of human life and of individual well-being and freedom. So people who involve in any forced oppression or forced taking over of people is anathema to those two big societies. So you just wouldn't get the trade with them.
That makes sense.
Excellent.
So,
Good question.
out of curiosity, why are they known as the Freeborn? What makes them, quote, freeborn over somebody else, like say the Concord?
Because they are not under the Imtel, and they do not have the controls, the structures, the lifestyle, the culture, and everything else, which both of the Imtel factions provide for, or in the Freeborn's view, insist upon or impose upon their citizens, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
So they're free of that form of control, and they don't have any. They do not have the Imtel. They are strongly against it. Their technologies are all geared up to strip away the Imtel nanosphere and reshard any kit that may come from the Imtel nations and put it into a neutral nanosphere that just provides basic stuff like communications, information, power, and
So they're not jacked into
sensory.
the net, so to speak.
Well, not to the same extent.
Right.
They still have wearable devices.
Right. Right.
They still have implants, perhaps, voice implants, oral implants, and oral implants, and that sort of stuff. But there's nothing there predicting their actions. There's nothing there trying to care for them or provide for them. They provide for themselves.
All right. I can get behind that. I dig.
Yeah.
I always liked that aspect of them. They were like super cyberpunk. I think that's super cool. It creates neat lore in my imagination, because we have like a freeborn warrior where it's like you have literally implants installed all over your body to help you match and equal the level of like the Imtel societies and their insane like predictive abilities and matrixy goodness.
So the main family, the biggest family, is it's called the Oceanic. Am I butchering that, or
Probably.
Yeah, for sure.
The Ozoni.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they're not the main family. They're the main family in the determinate.
Yes.
Because they have basically all but wrapped up all the trade with the Algarin, and they've built this trading combine with a number of other houses as well, and everybody really has to go through them. So in the determinate, which is where most of the supplements and where most of the book is set, because that's this boiling cauldron of trouble and all the rest of it. The House of Ozoni is the most powerful.
That's powerful.
Yeah, but that's just in the determinate. They may be the biggest around Antares, but probably not. There's probably loads of others.
And I love blue.
You love the blue. Oh, got really good colours. They've got to be good. Yeah.
Oh, if their colors are blue, count me in. I'm done.
There you go.
I'm good.
Well, they're here. They're blue. They're back there.
Yeah.
Come on over now, Jay.
Boom.
There they are, right there.
Sorry if that's licensed Antares artwork. Don't copyright strike us.
No, that's fine. That sort of stuff's absolutely fine. But yes, they look like Damari, who are just the
which I love the Damari.
The Damari are basically crew of the ships. They are a militia, if you see what I mean. It's probably the best way of putting it.
To me, in my head, they're badass.
100%.
The Vardanari are the trained troops, and they are top notch. They've got to operate without all the bonuses of the Concord troopers, and their only trade is, being bodyguards or in defending the freeborn fleets and ships. So they really are the nasty people.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this episode. I'm going to take snippets of how you pronounce things from Tim's voice, and that way I'll have it on recorder and I can learn it like Spanish, Vartanari, So, Damari.
It's still not going to help you, Matt.
we have a comment here. It's Mini Warmut. Oh man, he's up. Alrighty, entertain me, fellas, while I stuff my face with a jelly donut and some coffee. Right.
Hey, how you eating that jelly donut, Warmut?
That's an inside joke from my ramble, but anyway. So Kevin, I know you love the Freeborn. Everybody does. Everybody that knows you knows you love the Freeborn. What do they mean to you? I mean, like in your mind, describe to us as a player, as a fan, what exactly, and then Sergey, please step in there and give us your thoughts.
They're usually my enemy.
Yeah. We're talking like game mechanic wise, or just like in general?
Just in general. Why do you play the Freeborn? And Sergey, why do you play against them?
He hates them. No,
and Kevin plays them,
right? There's so many options for the Freeborn, so like it's a really neat faction in that sense. And I mean, since they're generally speaking a little bit cheaper than the other factions, Istorian, Concord, Algren, you just get a lot of options. I mean, you can have a bunch of support teams, a bunch of tactical choices, and it's really cool. Their strategic choices and everything are pretty similar to the Concord because they're the exact same vehicles basically, but even with their version, they get more options. So if someone likes options, Freeborn's great. But as far as just like the fluff, I freaking love the fluff. I mean, in my imagination, I immediately imagine these like Freeborn houses traveling together in like a Battlestar Galactica convoy, for lack of better terms. And in the sense that it's like, you could have like, House Strong Name that, runs the refinery ships and, all these things that are in the fleet and so on and so forth. And then their army is just so cool because, like Tim said, the Damari are basically militia. It's basically each family in the house volunteering up sons and daughters to be trained in, military combat, and that's what the house troopers are, which is really sweet. But they probably have like regular jobs where it's just like, the IT guy's like, oh crap, there's enemies. Time to lock and load,
Yeah. Get up off your keyboard and fight. Yeah.
He's like rips his keyboard out. It's a keytar. And then like the Vardanari. Sergey thinks the Vardanari are just because they're too expensive for him in game terminology.
Gameplay wise, I think they're the worst unit in Freeborn.
I disagree. They're great. 6-man unit plasma carbine. Fantastic. They will be cool. I promise you. In every game, Sergey just ends up shooting at them and they do nothing because they're pinned down. But that means they're doing something. You know what I mean? But their lore is even cooler because they're just like, the only, what you would call a legitimate soldier. And so with all of their like cybernetics and equipment, and then you also have the fact that it's like they have this flair for ornate armor and like cloaks and stuff, which is just makes them super hardcore in comparison to the Concord and everything. Which are pretty
painting cloaks, so it works for me. That's why I like them. So
what's that?
I
said I love painting cloaks.
Oh yeah.
Super easy.
Yeah.
So I got
good.
I got a quick question. I'm eyeballing the stuff on the website here.
Yeah.
And I immediately get drawn to the Privateer Admiral Terrace Kaleman. And there's a thing, literally a thing. Like
that's Boromite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Action of the thing, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, there's only 3 of them, so they're not, they might be terrific. They're not fantastic.
Yeah.
Terrace Calamon is the slightly tubby one in the middle. He claims to be an admiral, and he was possibly in nominal charge of a fleet when they first encountered the Virai. And it's arguable because of him that the Virai ended up getting inflicted on the universe. The woman with him is a Vardanari, one of his personal bodyguards, and the Boromite is just one of his salvageers, of course, because he's not a pirate. He's a
privateer, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I think what Kevin was saying about the Battlestar Galactica ragtag fleet. Again, you're just going from strength to strength for me on this because it's definitely falls into my wheelhouse with Battlestar Galactica too. That concept of
the big mobile fleet, and
we're just out here doing our thing, and
you see, I'm trying to get
the best image there is to think of the fleet with the Battlestar Galactica and the various ships around it as a house, as a freeborn house, the Vardos, and then the individual ships perhaps being manned by individual domas, and some of those individual families, and some of those ships would be manned by the same family. So perhaps some of the ferry ships, for example, the smaller passenger ships are all ferries, could be just provided by a family who focuses on passenger transport,
right?
Some kind or other, and the ships. Whereas the Battlestar Galactica each tended to stick together, the freeborn ships are more likely actually to disappear off all on their own, do all the trading on their own, and then only come back to the fleet from time to time. One of the big things about Antares is that it takes ages to get anywhere. It's far closer to the 18th century age of sail in terms of travel, the independence of the captains and what they have to take with them and where they go. You'd send off a trading ship and you say goodbye to a trading frigate and you wouldn't see it for a couple of years.
So is there not faster than light travel, or is it just you can't go faster than light for like maybe 1 or 2 times type of thing?
We're coming back to the whole purpose of Antares itself. Antares is a huge machine, as both as we try and explain to people. But the core thing is that it opens and controls gates, which are, as you'd imagine it, standard multi-dimensional gates between points in space. Except in this case, they go from a point in a system to a point on the surface of the Antares, this giant star machine. And if you look, Antares is about 42 astronomical units in radius. That's 42 times 150 million kilometers. So it's huge radius, and it's about 258 astronomical units in circumference. So it's this huge surface. So your ship gets transported to there, and it then has to move around the surface of Antares, finds another gate, go into that gate, and it turns up and pops up into another system.
And that's what's so. Here you go.
Well done, Sergey. Spot on.
There it is, right there. And this is what I love about Antares. It's so different, but yet so it's so in depth, and it's hard sci-fi, and it's something like we've never seen. And Not Jay is a huge science fiction fan, and I'm slowly making him my Sergey. And
you gotta have a Sergey.
Because I will have Not Jay do drop kicks on camera. Now we're going to.
It's a hard job.
I think Freeborn, and that's why I've invited Not Jay today. As I think Freeborn is something that he would really get into as far as like a faction for the game.
Yeah, they're pretty unique as far as Antares goes too. They're the only very infantry-y ranged army, as opposed to the Concord and Isaurian, which are ranged armies that function with like very high quality elite troops. The Freeborn are much more like, say, like a foot soldier heavy Imperial Guard army. So if that's something you're into, you're really going to enjoy their gameplay style.
Yeah. You can actually, the thing about the Freeborn is that you can easily incorporate the ferals. These are primitive mercenaries. They can come up if you like. Some of the Freeborn houses are less than reputable and hire outlawed new who, that's new humans, the evolutionary progressing of humanity into a oneness with the nanosphere, the intel. Well, that's the best way to describe the new who is. And some of those new who decided that humans aren't really up to the task, so we're going to do some work on the human genome. So they try and do genetic experiments on humans, and they end up producing these misgenics who are gone.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say the Skarks are amazing.
Yeah,
those are my favorite units. Like
Skarks
just the
and ferals,
looks.
Yeah.
I don't really like. I don't play them in a game that much. I should probably, but they're my favorite looking unit, and I've been wanting to paint them so badly, but I don't want to mess them up.
I'm sure you can paint them badly, Matt.
Oh, they look so cool, and I don't know where. I guess
so they're your Boba Fett.
Yes, they're my Boba Fett. Yes,
they look crazy.
Oh, they're awesome. I'll you know what? I'll go get an example of what they look like. Hang on a second. Talk amongst yourselves, Kevin.
They're very cool.
As far as like hobby wise, honestly, I think Freeborn is one of the best factions in Antares too, because not only do you get to pick the livery and everything of your house, and like it lends to making a backstory so well. Then you have the ferals, and since the ferals are literally like the Freeborn orbiting a planet that is like in the Industrial Revolution phase, they come down and they're like, "We're going to give you sci-fi guns, bring you onto our spaceships, and then we can go." Oh yeah, that model's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the Scott, or even in pre-industrial. It's basically these
a bunch of samurais with ray guns would be a very cool proxy.
And that's my next point, is that from a hobby standpoint, I mean, the ferals allow so much in the way of conversions. I mean, you can use the official models, or you can. I love the conversion on the Nexus. If no one's ever seen it, you got to go to the Nexus and look up. It was the person who used the Revolutionary War Native American warrior.
Oh, those were super cool.
That was so cool.
Lee Davidson did that. Shout out for Lee there.
Oh yeah, and then just like Sergey said, it was someone else who took the Test of Honor Ashiguru sets and created their Freeborn as well. Now,
I tried to do that. They're a little bit brief warning with that. They're the wrong scale. I tried to make a bunch of masked men Algorin, and they all had pinheads. It was not great.
I mean, these are just the coolest models. These
yeah.
I just love the feral. Is there an all feral army? I don't think there is. Is there?
There is
not with that attitude.
But there will be an all feral army in version 2.
Now, when you're saying feral, F-E-R-A-L, like a bunch of feral cats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a throwaway sort of dismissive comment by the Freeborn, which some ferals quite rightly bridle at. Is we're not ferals, we're just people who haven't had the technological advantages you have. So it sounds a bit dismissive. And
dial up, they're no good.
do it again, Sergey.
So hey, I'll cover up the rules. I don't know.
No, that's okay, mate. It's all right.
Oh yeah, I guess they're free online, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. The lists are free online for the Freeborn at on the Nexus, www.gatesofentares.com.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
So those are the feral, as you can see there. Those are the feral. They happen to be Magri, which is a particular planet, feral planet. This is the one of which the Ozoni control. And they do a lot of trade with taking off the ferals from a very hostile planet. And one of the reasons for that hostile planet is the presence of the beast called the Skarks, which you've already shown, Matt, who can fly in the air and are basically all teeth at the front.
Oh, they're so cool. They remind me of that worm, that Dungeons and Dragons big worm with wings.
Yeah. The purple worm.
Yeah, the purple worm. But the Freeborn are so great because I feel like you can literally create your own house.
Oh, absolutely.
And run with it. That's kind of what I've done with all the other ones like Concord and my Asaurians and my Gar and all that. I mean, you can do that. But the Freeborn for me, like I have put lots more thought in my Freeborn than I did with the others as far as like storyline and stuff, because they can, like you said yourself, they could do anything.
Yeah.
Like a samurai, samurai house, or go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just saying, absolutely. I on my blog before I joined Warlord, I used to collect Freeborn houses from other players and document them. So, I had backgrounds on there from the Vardos Cadix. I had backgrounds on there from a couple of other houses. Cadix has, of course, since come into the Antares lore, as has House Del Ren, which was mine before I joined Warlord as well. So there's a whole bunch of houses out there, and they've just got very, very different backgrounds.
I call mine the Gotti because because they're very mafia-like.
Nice.
They're not the mafia; they're in the garbage disposal business. A very reputable Freeborn trade.
Well, I have found that my English Civil War extra heads fit on the Damari.
Nice.
So,
excellent. Yeah.
I haven't shown anything, but I have converted it.
It'll be great to see when you've actually finished them up. It'll be lovely to see.
It has been a work because, like Sergey was saying, they're not exactly the same scale. They're very close.
Yeah.
So I've been having to use different heads and things like that. But I have the mustachios.
Nice. That's the way to do it.
We're gonna rock the Gottis.
Yeah. I put on my ferals. I put a set of heads from one of the hoplite sprues.
Nice.
But I had to be careful whose hoplite, as you said, you have to be careful about scales. I can't remember if I ended up using Warlord Games' or Victrix.
I was going to say Victrix work really well with the
with the
Antares.
Antares. So it's probably the Victrix ones. And I then put up Aspis, the hoplite shields on them, and I gave them.
Oh, I saw the pictures of those.
various
Those are
weapons.
on the Intel, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they
Those
look awesome. Yeah.
So that's just me. That's just me doing them as part of the background for Vardos del Ren. They come from. I can't remember where they come from. They're the. I've forgotten their names, but anyway, it doesn't matter. There's a combine. There's 5 houses who happen to pull feral soldiers from this planet. So.
Okay, so apparently there is an option for laser gun toting frogs.
If you want.
Well, unless maybe they're insects. I don't know. They're green.
The Ashgar. They're grasshoppers. Laser gun grasshoppers.
Okay.
I actually think they're one of the best models in the range. They're really super unique.
They're very characterful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're lovely. They're mercenaries. They were the legacy of a once huge civilization, and effectively, there we go. Thanks, mate. Spot on.
Oh yeah, very cool. All right.
Yeah.
One of those walked into a bar and the bartender said, "Hey, I got a drink named after you." And he said, "What? You got a drink named Carl?"
No, they're the coolest. Oh my gosh, I love their weird grasshopper legs, because all I can imagine is them absolutely destroying someone with a brutal kick.
Yeah,
just like hoofing through somebody's face. Yeah,
they're like, I don't know. It looks like they're modeled to be at least 2 or 3 feet taller than like a normal human. 1 meter. I don't. They're terrible.
One of those meters.
Humans over here are about 1.80 meters. I know they're probably shorter in the States at 1 meter, but
you're thinking of New Zealand with the hobbits.
Yeah, of course I am.
So play style, play wise. I mean, we've talked about you could do anything and convert them and everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, play style. Sergey, I'm gonna let you start. Their play style. What do you hate the most about their play style? What is something that is a threat?
So
besides Kevin, what is the biggest threat you think they
really excel at a couple things. The first of which is if you're in an environment that doesn't have a whole lot of Gar, they can put pins out better than any other faction because they have the cheapest and most prolific access to slingnet ammo. They can have it. You can essentially spam 1,000 Damari squads and pin people out so quickly that they can't remove those pins in a turn. They also, Kevin actually came up with that strategy, and it was one I hadn't thought of, and it worked really, really, really effectively.
I took advantage of that strategy. I definitely come up with the idea.
Well, yeah, but they also excel at volume fire. So if you are going up against Gar or anybody else who has heavy armor, they can put out more shots than anyone else because they have 6 people per squad. So you can mass up units while also massing up order dice and just have more shots than anyone. So they're a mass army. They're all about feet on the ground with guns in hand.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Excellent.
But there's also there's another side to them which people sometimes dismiss, but it's one of the ways I like playing them, and I've spoken to 1 or 2 other players who like running that way as well, and that is to run them as an elite army. So their command squad is the most upgradable command squad in the game, which makes sense when you think that they can buy or have access to almost anything. If a freeborn captain says, "Oh, I want some compression carbines," the one of the Damari just says, "Yes, sir," runs away, manufactures a pair of compression carbines, and says, "There you go." And then the captain can just say, "Oh, I want some hyperlight armor and a couple of shield drones and a batter drone," and Well, I don't know. I suppose I'd also want some gun drones as well, if you don't mind. At which point, all of a
While
sudden,
you're
he's got
at it, a
huge
bacon
squad.
sandwich.
Yeah, a bacon sandwich. And it's an expensive squad, sure, but it's got so much firepower, and it's really a tough squad.
And Kevin, I dare ask, what do you? What... He's doing the eyebrow thing again. It's so distracting. I can't look. So to you, what, like, Freeborn, their play style, what are their absolute weaknesses and their strengths?
So, well, like Tim said, it's like, since they have so much variation, like Sergey said, you can play with like a massed infantry army where you're focusing on cheap things like ferals, because ferals are like, they're like 73 or 70 odd points in comparison to a Concord squad, which is 100 or 115 or 13 base, I think, which is, you know what I mean? So you can have a lot of guys, but they also have access to incredibly elite choices. And so there's so many ways to play them that I would say it's hard to pick out, because their tanks are equivalent. Their elite choices are pretty equivalent, but on the whole, they aren't by themselves very tough. You know, the Boromites, the Algren are physically tougher and stronger just because of their, you know, different genetics. And then the Isaurians and the Concord have more technology to get their resistance up. The Freeborn are basically, you know, cheapest armor, plain old human toughness all across the board. So one of their overall weaknesses is that, you know, you kind of have to go big or go home with them, because if you're too safe and you hide them and you don't advance forward and stuff, you know, they might be a little bit more resistant to being killed, but you have to put them out there to be offensive. And so they don't absorb fire well, but they put fire out incredibly. They have, you know, they have larger units on the average, and even like their tanks, you know, that are Concord drones that have been, you know, repurposed, have plasma guns, but you can also downgrade them and have mag weaponry. So it's like you can increase the rate of fire, you can, you know, and increase the numbers of the vehicles that you have on the field by just going cheaper with it. So I don't know, they're all across the board, but their strengths are definitely the variety. I mean, I absolutely, I don't have one yet, but the Nuhu meld, I cannot wait. I want to get the Renegade meld so bad. A Nuhu, for not Jay, that maybe not be super familiar, is basically like the nanite version of a wizard. So they can at will command the nanosphere to just do things for them, which one of them is through their intel staves, you know, actually concentrate fire. And I mean, that's two of them together. They get 2 shots with their intel staves. If they're juiced up by nano drones, that's 2d3 strike value, 6 hits. So it's like having a plasma cannon set on machine gun mode, and you just launch it at people out of a transport. So freaking cool.
And the strike value is the one that takes away from the other person's
Oh
armor.
yeah, so it basically means that if it's like a regular rank and file troop or a light vehicle, they just instantly transform into like a cloud of hamburger meat.
Nice.
and then you get that auxiliary choice of the misgenic rejects, which are their, like, you know, Frankenstein science experiments that they've just brought along. You know, they're like, I'm so proud of you. Which I really want to get the simian.
Oh, we need to get those monkeys.
Yes, there's like a range
of monkeys.
Yeah, and I want to make blue chimpanzee like army that goes with them.
With
Your
like,
best choice.
like implants and stuff.
Your best choice is
Like,
the red simians from Savage Core. Those are the models are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, great.
So Mini Warmut is he's commenting in here. I want to preface this. He was a scale modeler with 834 something scale model kits. We converted them into miniature wargaming.
And he hates us for it.
Yes, he does. He says the Boromites look pretty cool. They look like they're related to the Marvel comic book The Thing.
Yeah.
And their war cry is it's clobber time. He may get
that is their gameplay war cry as well. They punch harder than anyone else.
And he may now get some of those. You will get some of those, Mini Warmut. I want to see them. Actually, we'd like to see Freeborn, but that's okay. Boromites. We're going to get into Boromites. next episode.
The best part is that the Freeborn privateers basically pull from all the different factions. So if you like the Boromites and you want to get 2 or 3 squads of them just to paint them up because they're cool, you can get more Freeborn models. You can get a few Concord in there, and it can still all be one force, which is sweet.
Oh, talk sweet
Privateers force is actually quite effective too.
Talk sweet nothings into his ear, Kevin. Go ahead. Talk sweet nothings into his ear.
5 miniatures. Just
wait. I need the eyebrows.
Just buy the toys. Just buy the toys.
Travel to the Tabletop Warlords affiliate link.
Yes, definitely use the affiliate link.
So what you're saying is the best way to buy.
Yeah. Go over to Tabletop Warlords.
Yeah, no, actually do that though. Yeah.
Go
shameless
over to
plug.
Tabletop
Shameless
Warlords,
plug.
Check them out, man.
Yeah, shameless plug. We will get a commission if you use
If you do not
products.
Mini Wormut, if you do not know how to play or anything about the game, for real, go over to Tabletop Warlords on YouTube. Sergey and Kevin do a lot of drop kicks, but you can fast forward through that. And
you should fast forward through that.
Try.
It's educational.
You can actually learn a lot from their games. They explain a lot in well, some of their newer ones, the older ones, not so much, but it was the first ones.
Oh God, when I go back and I look at our first video, I'm just like, oh God, what were we doing?
No, it was great. It was really great. And you guys correct yourself if you're wrong. And that's what I like about that. So, I mean, when Tim tells you you're wrong, you guys correct it. It's wonderful.
He has to do it often.
I don't do it very often.
Not anymore. We're a lot better. We're like reading. We've mastered it.
Exactly. The power of the English alphabet.
Well, I find this is my favorite sci-fi as far as story goes and gameplay. There's a lot there, and to some people it's intimidating, really, but it's not if you just stick with the basics and work yourself towards that, just like most miniature war games. I mean, on the base side of it, if you start out with that Strike on Car 9 starter box, it explains it beautifully on how to play. So I'd encourage you guys go get that for sure. He says, dude, the Concord army looks really, really cool. See, he's exploring it. Mini Wormut, we've got you. We've got you.
I have so many visual aids.
look at Sergey and his fisheye.
I know.
Yeah, we just did an unboxing that we're gonna have out here soon for the Car 9. It is a sweet set.
It's a really good. It's a crazy good deal. It's like $50.
Yeah,
and it's like $150 worth of stuff in it. It's berserk.
What?
Yeah, no, like if you math it out, it's actually insanity. Yeah.
I was very generous. I ran this at the 2 years ago to convention, and I had the busiest table at that convention. By the way, I mean people were so interested in parties.
It's a great game.
Not Jay was there; he can contest to it.
Recruits,
2018.
Yeah, Recruits 2018. Well, first off, you had two beautiful tables, and I think your last session, that last Saturday night session, was insane.
I had people like standing behind me.
Yeah, you had 8 players, and then there was another half dozen people just watching.
And then you looked around it was I felt bad because you looked around the other convention hall and you had like 4 or 5 people there, and everybody's crowding around the table. And I brought my brood mother, and I brought my Concord, which by the way, it's on the Intel. It is a faction. And what else did I bring? Oh, the Virai. My copper.
He had been going balls out on getting those Virai painted.
Yeah.
In time. But it was a great looking table. And he did exactly what Recruits is designed to do. If you ever get the chance to go to Recruits, it's an amazing convention. The cost for the entire weekend, and that's Friday afternoon, evening, Saturday, and Sunday up until about 1, $5.
That's nuts.
Yeah, pretty good. Entry.
Unless you're a student.
That's
and if you're a student,
$10.
it's $0. $0 to get it, and that's a student of any age. So if you've got an actual student ID that's
awesome.
valid, you just get in.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
still
cool.
have my college email address. Does that count?
Yeah, sure, why not? You just have an ID. I mean, it's people are drawn to the figures because it's just so different. It's different science fiction, and
well, it's not grimdark.
Yeah. Honestly,
that's probably my biggest draw is there's in the other game from that part of England.
Same part of England.
That it just the closest thing to a good guy faction are the ones that I most closely associate with Gates of Antares with all the drones.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everybody else is just vastly not good.
Yeah.
But with Gates of Antares, Gates of Antares, there's actually, there's actually a feel of light and hope. I mean, there's, you don't have
more akin to Star Trek to me than like Star Wars.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Well, and it's a very inviting setting because the fact that it is more bent on in reality, where you're not like in a world where you're like, if I have bad thoughts, demons are going to get me.
It's a more hard sci-fi than sci fantasy.
Place yourself, and it's easier to kind of like imagine characters, in my opinion, because you have those traditional roles. Like Tim said, it's like there's cool space captains, roles, and warriors and soldiers and generals and all that stuff, as opposed to other fantasy. It's the fantasy and science fiction combination.
The other thing is the weapons look realistic.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean,
we turned them. We got them. Not Jay. We got you.
Yeah, that's what we recruit. One of us.
Oh, look, there's the eyebrows again.
You still have to get me past, Star Wars, though. I mean,
how dare you?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, Kevin's painting Star Wars figures right now.
It translates, man.
Star Wars is my love, but yeah.
I literally painted my Concorde to look like soldiers from a different galaxy, a decent distance away.
Not to be IP infringing or anything.
A distant galaxy.
And
it's worth looking at Dave Horrobin's white Concorde as well. They do look like stormtroopers coming out of left, right, and centre.
I made sure mine looked nothing like that.
No, your Concorde look amazing.
Well, thanks. They're designed after. Let's see. The red is actually brown, but on the yellow it looks red. You know what I mean? But I wanted to do red and yellow, but I did not want it to look like McDonald's. So
it's like actually an issue.
Well, if you if you use a desert yellow and a chocolate brown, it still gives you the red and yellow, but not the McDonald's red and yellow. So
these two colors, you think they'd look cool and fiery together, but they just look like Mickey D's.
No. Mini Warmont says, "Okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look at some Gar first. I love orcs, and they look similar to. And second, Fartox Blackguard sold me. Fartox, love it. Haha. We sold
Gar orcs meets Daleks, and that's
just...
Well, I don't know, guys.
Wait, Daleks? Wait, time out.
I mean, they literally want to exterminate all pan-human.
Yeah.
Hold your votes.
So basically, I mean, just to we're going to start wrapping things up a little bit. Next week, I'm going to leave it up to you guys, Tim and Kevin and Sergey. Do you guys want to talk Gar next time, or do you want to talk Boromites next time?
Well, this is not a fair vote because Tim and
I love Boromites.
I'm
all on the Boromite train right now. I just painted up 1,250 points of Boromites, so I'm real jazzed on them. But I also love Gar, so they're my two biggest armies, Gar and Boromite.
What do you think, Tim?
I'm really quite happy with either. I mean, you did say earlier that you do Boromites. So
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
stick with that.
Sure.
All right, sounds good.
We'll stick with that. Next Antares adventures will be Boromites, and
Boromites,
great.
in quotes. It's clobbering time.
Because that was actually that Boromites were the first figures that I got besides the starter sets, and that's when I did the Broodmother build video, and Tim sent me a message. Love you, Tim. He sent me a message. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, "Yay! I did something awesome!" But
as soon as you put a good paint job on the Broodmother, it just looks fantastic.
it does. Oh my gosh, it does.
It's sort of like you get one great thing on top of another great thing, and it's just awesome.
Okay. The bad thing about it is it's the paint scheme that I did use is totally different from the paint scheme I'm going to be using. So I just decided with my Boromites, I'm going to make them multicolored, but they're all part of the same family. They're just the rejects from other Boromites.
The other thing that I noticed with the Boromites is oh, that's cool. Purple and green. Looks like the Joker.
He copied off me because I did purple and green first.
It's true. It's a shameless rip.
The other thing I just realized, Korg from Thor is a Boromite.
Oh yeah, 100%. So do Boromites have New Zealand accents?
Yeah, I was about to say. So they're obviously New Zealanders.
That would be great.
Well, this was just a great discussion. Thank you guys for joining me and talking about Freeborn. Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention about Freeborn? The Freeborn? Anything we missed, possibly? Something you really dislike, Sergey? No.
Nah, I mean, I love defeating them on the battlefield.
Oh, there you go.
And I will continue to do so.
Track record states otherwise.
That's true. Kevin's actually really, really good at playing.
Hey, Kevin, I think it was serious. You see that face?
I got larger so that I was like appear.
Yeah, Kevin's like puffing up like a
predator.
What about you, Nache? Are you sold?
Well, I mean, I liked the one game that I've played over twice.
Yeah,
against Tad, the Robe. It just destroyed him. People say, "Oh, I decimated him." No. Decimate only removes 1/10 of the force. I face rolled poor Todd, and it was not pretty, but it was fun.
What were the armies? I totally forgot.
You had Gar, you had
I knew that, but who played? Who was playing what? I can't remember.
I think he was playing. I think Todd was playing Gar, and I was playing.
Did you have this Concord?
I played Concord. Yeah.
Yeah, you did because they were the vanilla. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just hush you, Mini Warmutt.
He said, "Buy some Nache." No, he doesn't have to. I've got them all over here, but still,
right. Yeah. And if I do buy them, I'll go over to Tabletop Warlords.
Affiliate link.
Yep.
We'll have to do. Hey, Nache, we'll have to do where I'll have to dress up as Kevin. You'll dress up as Sergey, and we'll do a battle report.
Yeah.
Get a red mop and like a Victorian era.
Welcome to Tabletop Warlords.
I can't.
We already have the same facial hair. Get some tomato sauce and rub it around your upper lip.
Get some tomato sauce.
Yeah.
No, but I had fun playing the game the couple of times I did play it. Now the one thing because I've only played it in where it was a 2-on-2 game, and then also at the convention. Mm-hmm. What is an expected model count?
750 points to 1250 is like the normal range. I would say more people play 750 casually, and then it seems like most events range from like 1,000 to 1250.
But
Ish.
model count wise,
Oh, model count? It depends on the army entirely. Like for guard, that could be like 6.
8 squads of infantry, usually 2 vehicles.
Yeah, so it's probably between 30 and 50, I'd say, but it really does depend on how you configure your army. So basically, you could still have 1250, and you'd have one big tank, perhaps 4 drones with it, 4 buddy drones with it, and you'd then probably have a couple of support teams with a few infantry. So that's say 6 to, and their buddy drones as well. So there's about 10, so that's 15, and then you probably have a whole bunch of infantry with that. Say about 25 infantry, so you're still talking about 45, and that's at a 1250 point army. I can imagine an army being that size. So it's somewhere around, say, 30 to 50 for that 750 to 1250 range that Sergei mentioned, I think.
Yeah.
But it's with Freeborn, it's so flexible. I mean, you could just have so many Damari, who I love, or Ferals, and you just blow that if you want to.
It's definitely the most infantry next to Concord and Algren that I have. And the only reason why I have so much infantry in Algren and Concord is because of the fact that I bought a bunch of starter boxes. And, you know, the Strike on Car 9 stuff. But Freeborn and have always, like, I've been drawn to them. It's just that I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, you know. Otherwise, I made it first to paint, you know.
It definitely helps to do some research, that's for sure, because they do have just a lot of options.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's part of the charm.
Yeah.
And it also means for brand new players, they could actually perhaps borrow figures in from somewhere else, knock together a Freeborn list, and then just try it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, I know. I've got a friend of mine that well, he's part of our show. It's James or Bane. He's part of our show. He was at that convention I was talking about, and he was with his daughter, and his daughter loved the game.
Oh, she wrecked house,
and yeah, she kicks some butt. But Bane he does nothing but 7 Years War, and he got a Strike on Car 9 box. He loved it. So it is possible. Mini Warmut says, which army is Horde like?
Horde is in like World of Warcraft Horde?
No, Horde like I
well, there's a capital H.
I got shit ton of models.
So you're talking about Gar Rebel?
Gar.
Absolutely. They have infantry squads that are what is it, Tim? Like 40 points a pop if you really want to go that low.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Gar Rebels have most models on field.
Which one?
They Rebel Gar can have lots of small infantry squads, but you won't be liked for running millions of squads because you get millions of dice. But more importantly, though, you can actually run huge squads. You can have 10 Gar, 10 Outcast squads, or 10 Blackguard squads. So the model count quickly comes up. So, and that's for about probably 70 to 100 points a time for 10 models. So you can imagine a 750 army you have up to around about 75 models or 100 models. So
yes, if you love painting,
not
my army. That would be my army, right?
What would be your army if you don't like painting is Gar, because the model counts for Gar can be very, very low.
That's why I picked Gar in the first place, because before I knew I loved Antares, I was like, I don't know how much time I want to spend painting these models, and so I played Gar, and then I fell in love with it, and now I have like so many models.
Yeah.
Okay, Virai. What would you say, Tim? Virai, right?
Virai as well. Yeah.
Virai can actually be quite high. Can actually have a quite high model count as well. Yeah.
Yes, they can, because I realized I needed to buy more after I built an army.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good old robot locust.
Yeah.
Robot locust indeed. Yes.
You got to get them in there fast, and or you need to dance around them because anyway, we'll get into that one later. But he said something about the Boromite Rock Riders look really cool. They're one of my favorites too.
Hold on, I've got a visual aid for this too.
They look like they're riding on the backs of fleas made of rock.
Absolutely.
We did a unit highlight. I think Sergei's done at least twice.
They play bass.
Right. He says I may have to get both Boromite and Gar. Do that.
Well, see, Mini Warmut, I'm the type of guy that I always have to buy at least 2 factions
Yeah.
because I always want to make sure that if I'm going to have a game to play, that whoever is coming to play the game with me doesn't have to have anything for themselves.
Yeah. Do the same.
There they are.
There they go. That's Alan Stalin on a Locomite, and the other guy on the other side is just a Rock Rider. In other words, it's a normal Boromite on a
Those
Locomite.
are so cool looking.
Yeah.
You did
I
a great
love
job on this.
Bonds.
Crap, not gay. No more dad jokes.
It's Father's Day.
It's the one day we're allowed to have dad jokes.
Yeah, come on, man. It's bad enough that, it's always Mother's Day sale, Mother's Day sale, Mother's Day sale, but it's the dads and grads sale. Like, what the hell? Why do we have to share?
And Sergey, he says, awesome paint work.
Well, thank you.
It is.
Well, thank you, Tim and Kevin and Sergey and Nache, of course. Thank you guys for joining me tonight to talk about Freeborn. Boromites, I think a love of all of ours. We're going to talk about next time. I think that's what we're going to decide for sure. And
show.
Don't forget your stogies if we're going to talk about Boromites.
Tim, once again, much appreciated. It's always good to have you along with us, sir.
Thank you.
And
happy
Kevin,
Father's Day to everyone.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there.
And Kevin, thanks for the eyebrows. Sergey, thanks for showing all that stuff. And don't do that, Nache. Now he's doing it. Stop it, Kevin.
Yeah.
He's infected us all.
Oh man. All right, guys, and thanks to you for watching. Really appreciate it. Mini Warmut, thank you, sir. And I think we sold quite a few people on this, so I'm glad. And that's why we're getting the word out there, because it truly is some awesome models, awesome storyline. It's probably my favorite. It is my favorite science fiction game. So that's all I got, guys. Last but not least, from me to you, ta-ta. And we'll catch you in the next Nexus. Ooh, wait, no, did I say that right? I don't know. Maybe.